going to make a bridge, a guitar bridge today, and that always starts with a rough blank, and it needs to have a surface flattened and an edge straightened square to that surface, which is what I just did here with a hand plane. Now, you could do this with machinery, but this is too short to be running through a jointer, so it's done with hand tools because it's just a lot safer, a lot quieter too, and you can hear the background music. Having a flat surface and a straight edge, now I'm ready to rip this thing to width at a table saw here, and then I'm going to square one end and cut it to length. And I'm going to do a little bit of a trick when I do that. See if you can figure out what I'm doing as you see this happen. So now I've got a bridge blank that is over thickness, but it's exact width and exact length. The guitar that this bridge is for has a top dome to a 30-foot radius. And so on the underside of that bridge, I have to form that 30-foot radius so that the two will be perfectly compatible. The bridge has to comply with the top exactly. So I'm going to do that with a couple of things. I use a hand scraper to start the process, and then I have a sanding block here that has been domed itself to a 30-foot radius, so that by sanding that, I can just get that totally domed exactly to fit the instrument. Now I'm ready to cut the wings in the bridge. That is, to give it this particular curvature right here. And since my bridges are standardized on my guitars, I have a shaper template, this device here, that will cut that exact shape. But just before I cut that, I'm going to put this blank in here, and I'm going to trace this, flip it and trace it again with a silver pencil. And I'm doing that because for the shaper to cut away all of this material here, the shaper will do it just fine, but it becomes more dangerous. So just before I shape this, I'm going to cut away most of the waste on the bandsaw. I'm just roughing these out. There's no need to be really precise. I just want to waste a lot of that excess material. So now I'm ready to shape the bridge wings, and the principle is really very simple. The shape that's on this template is only on one side. So when the bridge blank is placed in it, it's shaped, and when it's flipped, it has to be perfectly symmetrical because it's always done from the same template. So I snap that in there and lock it down in the jig. Now, the surface, this edge rather, of the jig is going to ride against this bearing. That's going to read the shape, and the shaper cutter will cut that. It's time to put a saddle slot in the bridge. That's this part right here. And that has to be done at a very precise angle. It has to be done at a precise width. And the bottom of that slot has to be absolutely dead flat. So to do that, I made this device, probably 4 years ago, at least that. This is a table that slides back and forth and will hold that bridge blank at that precise angle, so that this router bit right here, while it's spinning, will cut that slot. So there's a little bit of layout work that I've done on this that I did not show on camera before because it's kind of boring. And the jig is adjusted so that it stops at pre-described points. At this point, as long as the bridge blank goes into the correct position, it's practically impossible to mess it up because everything has been predetermined. With my saddle slot milled out, now I can lay out my string spacing. And you can see here that I've delineated the overall spacing, which in this case is 2 1/4 inches by this line and this line. So now I need to strike a line parallel to the saddle slot, and it's on that line that the bridge pinholes will be drilled. Now some luthiers will make that line parallel to the edge of the bridge. I like to make mine parallel to the saddle slot because I want the ramp angle of each string to be exactly the same. So I made this little template right here that just slips right down into the saddle slot, and it's just a matter of tracing that quick line on there, and you can see, if it shows up in camera, you can see that I have that line well established. And then I have calculated that my strings distance from one string to the next is 45/100ths of an inch, which I've laid out on this scale that reads in hundredths, and I've laid that out with this wing divider. And I'm going to start at one point, and I'm going to test that by moving down through there, counting off the 6 strings, and if I meet at exactly the opposite layout line, then I know my divider is set precisely where I want it. And in this case, I'm good to go. At this point, I'm ready to cut the wings on the bridge. And so I've marked here the thickness that I want remaining at the base of the bridge after the wing is cut away. And I've transferred that up this length and to the top surface of the bridge. I think if there's any art involved in making this part of the bridge, it's right here, because I lay this curve out by hand, and as you can see, I'm just sketching that out here. And it's just a simple curve, so it's not rocket science, but you like to get them as close to being exactly the same as you can. Now, there are ways to do this mechanically, but I just don't want to go that far. I'm going to cut these bridge wings away at the bandsaw, and I want this bridge, since it's quite thin, it'll tip easily, so to keep it standing absolutely perpendicular to its surface, I'm going to use this guide, this machine block, to help me do that. Get rid of. So with the bridge wings cut and they've been refined on the spindle sander, there's another refinement that I have to do before I can do any of the handwork remaining. You can see probably here on camera that there's just a little bit of a radius scribed here. Since the fingerboard has a 16-inch radius, we want the strings to follow that radius ever so slightly, even by the time they get out to the bridge. That's going to give the bridge saddle a little bit more even appearance as you look at it across, and it's going to allow us to keep that action the same across the board and all the way down the neck. In order to put that little radius on this bridge, I need this. This is just a holder that I made, and I have several of these for each different style of bridge that I make. This is going to help me just hold this against this sander while I touch up that radius. This is going to be a little bit noisy because we'll have sander as well as dust collection. I've completed all of the machine work that's necessary on this. Now it comes down to hand refinements. These edges are still quite sharp. This radius is rough. You can see the sanding marks in it. So I'm going to double face tape it down to this stand, and I'm going to make some refinements in it with just files and scrapers and sandpaper. And the completed bridge, fully refined. This is ready to glue down. Pardon my hands, I do wash them every other Tuesday meticulously, whether they need it or not. And tomorrow's the day. Thanks for watching.